is, you did this before. Last week we didn't have an assignment, we just took the test. Okay, now the difference here is yesterday's, they gave you the slope and the y-intercept. Or on the graph, you could just look at it to figure it out. In today's problems, they're going to give you the slope, but we don't know what b is. So, again, we did spend a decent amount of time on this last year, so you might remember it after seeing some of it. They do give us one of the points it crosses through. So you could actually figure this out if you had graph paper. Negative 3, 5 is right there. We know the line goes through that point, and it's got a slope of 2. So it goes up 2 and over 1. So we could keep going up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1 until we figure out where it crosses, and that would be the B. But you don't want to have to make a graph every time to figure that out. So, remember, this is the main thing. You guys put your iPads away now. Every point on this line is a solution, which means if you plug it into the equation, it's going to be true. All right? So that means they give us one of the solutions at negative 3, 5. That means if I plug negative 3 in for the x, the y is going to end up equaling 5. All right? So, in the equation, y equals mx plus b, I know 1, 2, 3 of the 4 letters. That make sense? Mm-hmm. So what you do is you plug these 3 numbers into this. The b is still going to be missing, but if you're only missing 1 letter, you can figure out what it is by solving it. So we put 5 in for the y. The m they told us is 2. The x is negative 3 plus b. Okay? So, now you just have to solve this equation. 3 equals 2 times negative 3 is negative 6 plus b. Get rid of the minus 6, so you add 6 and you get 9 equals b.
Shouldn't that be 5?
Oh, I put the wrong. That should be a 5 right here, yeah. 5 is x and y. So, this should have been 5, it's 11 equals b. Okay. You guys done? So now that you have what b is and they gave you what slope is, then it's just like yesterday's. You write the equation, y equals 2x plus 11. So that means they would have crossed way up here at 11.
You have to graph.
Nope. Okay. 2 non-vertical lines, non-vertical means they don't go straight up and down, are parallel if they have the same slope. We did that in the last chapter. Write the equation of a line that's parallel to this one and passes through this. This problem is exactly the same as this one that we just did. We'll just wait for everyone to pay attention so you know how to do this. It's exactly the same as this, except they didn't just flat out give you the slope here. Since it's parallel to this, what do you know the slope's going to be? Because parallel lines have the same slope. That's the only reason they give you this equation, is to look at the slope. Since they're parallel, they have the same slope. So now we use the slope, and we use this point to find b. So again, y equals mx plus b. We know 3 of these letters. We know what the y is. It's 1. The m we figured out is negative 1/2. The x is 2 plus b. and then you solve it. Usually, but not always, they give us nice numbers to work with. Negative 1/2 times 2 is just negative 1 plus b. So we just add 1 and we get 2 equals b. So we know our m and we know the b, so the equation is y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Remember doing this at all last year? They had this on the MCA tests for you. So here they actually graphed them. This is the one we just found. It crosses at 2. It's got a slope of negative 1/2, down 1/2. Crosses through that point it gave us. And here was the first line they gave us. Crosses at negative 3 with the same slope, down 1/2. So, the two types of problems are done the same way. Here they just give you the point and the slope. Here they give you the point, but you got to figure out the slope, which is easy because since they're parallel, they have the same slope. So they end up being the same problems. You know what m is, you know a point. Here, since they're parallel, you use the same point. So, we have half of what we did. If nothing else, when you're doing this on a test, if you can't remember how to get b, you can still get half of it right, because you know the slope goes in there. Right? So to figure out what b is, these are alphabetical, that's why they're ordered pairs, x, y. So you put 4 in for y, 2 in for m, the 2 is for the x, plus b. That's the hardest part. Once you get that written down, then it should be easy to solve it. 2 times 2 is 4. Subtract 4, and you get 0. So the equation would be y equals m is 2x plus 0. Which you could just write as y equals 2x if you wanted to. So here, x and y, put the 2 in for the y. M is negative 3, x is negative 3, plus b, and then you solve it. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. So you subtract 9 to get the b by itself, and you get negative 7. So it'd be y equals negative 3x minus 7. Here's one where we might get a fraction. That's x, that's y, that's m. So, negative 1 goes in for y, 1/2 in for m, negative 5 plus b. So, when you solve this, half of negative 5 is negative 2.5. You can leave it as a fraction or a decimal, it doesn't matter. So we got to just add 2.5, add 2.5, and we get 1.5. So it'd be y equals m, which is 1/2 x, plus my b, 1.5. So again, these are the same thing. They give you an equation and a point, but they say find a different equation that's parallel to this. So we don't need anything except the number in front of the x. That's all you need. So we do it the same way. We got to figure out what b is. That's x, that's y, so put 6 in for the y, 5 in for the m, negative 2 in for the x, plus b. That's the nice thing, is they're always done the same exact way. There's nothing different. You end up doing this every single time. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. So to get rid of the negative 10, you add 10, and it's 16 equals b. So it'd be y equals 5x plus 16. This one will be another fraction. So that's x, that's y. So put negative 7 in for y, negative 3/4 for m. X is 3 plus b. So again, you can just do this on your calculator. Negative 3 divided by 4 times 3. That's going to give you negative 9 divided by 4 is 2.25, or 2 1/4. So, to solve it, we just add 2.25. And that would be negative 6.75, or 6 3/4. So the equation would be y equals negative 3/4 x minus 6.75. Okay?